Hey guys, if you're seeing this part, you are catching the replay, so go ahead and comment replay down below so that I know you were here and got to hang out with us, even if you didn't get to hang out live. Hey guys, it is Gwen here from Olive and Oak, and I am so excited to sit down with you guys today and paint our March subscription box DIY kit. This month we decided to go with a door hanger. Spring is so much fun, and I don't know, I just feel like that's when you start decorating for outside again. Winter here in Arizona, at least in our part of Arizona, is not super exciting. So we don't do a whole lot of winter decorating, but come spring we're excited to put flowers out and all that sort of stuff. I am a fake flower person because I cannot keep them alive, but I can keep these pretty tulips on my door all season long. So the sign we're going to be painting is actually this one right back here. It says Hello Spring. I realize all the lettering is going to be backwards, but you'll get the idea. So let's kind of take a peek at what comes in our subscription box, what all comes with it, what is packed in there, and then we will get into painting this one. So for this month, if you are one of my gals that gets your box shipped to you, oh, my phone's saying slow connection. Of course it is. If you are one of the gals that gets your box shipped to you, you probably got a big old pizza box in the mail, and trust me, the people at the post office thought I was a nut job bringing in pizzas, but that's okay. But inside your box or your bag, if you're one of my local pickup gals, you would have gotten, of course, your door hanger project, which is our main project for this month. There is an insert here that has a nice picture of it and has instructions on how I painted this one. You also, because these are always my favorite, would have gotten a mini kit project. This is kind of like a bonus kit that we fit in there. This one is a small little chunky sign that says bloom and has some little tulips. This one's great for on a desk or in kind of a small decorative area, or maybe even your office. So you got that one in there as well. And of course our tool packet and our kind of note to you guys. If you haven't already, there is a membership survey on there. There's a QR code that'll take you to it. Next month I really want to do something personalized, and in that survey it's going to ask you if you need a specific last name, or maybe your last name on your order is different than you know, your last name at home. I know I still have some things under my maiden name, and we've been married for 20. Oh gosh, we were married in 2016. That's what I was going for, not 20 some odd years. Math is not my strong suit, but we've been married for many years, and I still have some things under Roach instead of Jones. But inside your tool packet, let's go and bust this guy open, along with your note telling you we're going to be live today, you're going to have, let's get all these guys out here. You've got a big thing of white paint and stain. I stained my original one and then did white lettering and white on my ring. I'm gonna flip-flop on this one and do a white background with stain topper, so you can kind of see different looks for it. That's what I usually try to do when we do our lives. Let's change it up a little bit. You're gonna have another big cup that's gonna have our glue in it, and I will show you how to use glue out of a big container like this. You're going to have some makeup wedges, a 1-inch foam brush, a flat brush, and these are some of our favorite brushes to use for small details, and then a set of 3 colors. You're gonna have pink, green, and yellow in there, which are the colors I used. If you have other paints you wanna use though, by all means, tulips come in so many pretty colors. You can always switch those up as well. But tonight I am going to paint the door hanger with you guys, so let me get this stuff scooted out of the way. Set them over here. I'm actually cheating, and I'm going to give you full disclosure. My door hanger base had a little imperfection on it when we were cutting, and it did not fit quality standards to send out the door, so it is the one that I'm going to paint, because this one's going to go on my door at home. I keep joking around saying we need to have a scratch and dent craft kit sale for the ones that just have little funkies, so this one I'll even show you where it is. So underneath where the flowers are gonna go, because all these pieces will separate out, so they're easy to paint separately. You don't have to worry about trying to get down in little weird nooks and crannies, but they'll all separate out and then we'll assemble at the end. But this one, if you look right there on the edge of that little piece, which is gonna get covered up anyway, there was this little weird piece that just, it came out funky from the laser, and I didn't want somebody else to deal with that one, so I'm gonna take that one home for me. But I'm gonna start with my background. Like I said, my first one, I did a stained background here behind me, but this one I wanna do a white background to show you guys kind of a different way you could do it. Now you can always go right in with the foam brush and paint it that way, but I'm actually going to take a baby wipe, which unfortunately is not included in your kit. But I know a lot of us keep these. I have a lot of mamas on the list and grandmas who probably have all the baby things at home too. But I'm gonna use a baby wipe to put my first coat of white on there, and then we'll see. Maybe I'll leave it washed that way, or maybe I'll come back in with the brush. We'll find out. I'm gonna open my white paint up though. I like to use a baby wipe for faux stain looks too. I also like to stain with a baby wipe if I was gonna do the background that way. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna dip my baby wipe right into my paint and just start spreading it on there. Just like you would if you were staining. We're gonna see. I don't know if I'm gonna go with a whitewash or if I'm gonna make it thicker, but I'm gonna start with this at least. Get this all worked in here. And then what I'll do too is my areas where I have my score lines that give that kind of shiplap background, is I'll take my baby wipe and I'll kind of drag it across there, and it's gonna take some of that paint back out too. Alternatively, if you get too much paint down on your lines and you want to open them up more, you can also use like a toothpick or a dental pick to get down in there and bring some more of it out. But if you mostly worry about painting and working on the surface, you don't get too much paint down in them. Get this part covered up. I don't know if you guys, probably not, but there is all kinds of crazy handprints and glow-in-the-dark paint and whatnot on the tablecloth that I'm working on today. We are currently hosting spring break kids camp at the shop, and I'm not gonna lie, it gets a little crazy in here during the day. We have 16 kiddos. Levi, my 6-year-old, is one of them, that are hanging out with us for camp this week. Our kids are out of school this week for spring break, and while we do have a huge 4-H and FFA community that do a lot during spring break because our county fair takes place during spring break, there are still kiddos who either are too young to show, like Levi's not old enough to show yet, and there are kids who just don't participate in that stuff. So this gives them something fun to come do during spring break, especially if mom and dad aren't planning on going out of town. But it's been a lot of fun. We've done neon glow paint, which if you've seen the pictures from those, this is the first time we've done it. I actually just got the black lights in for that, and we kind of test ran them, and I loved it so much, and I was like, all right, we got to do something with this, because I don't know, what kid doesn't like glow in the dark neon stuff. When we flipped the lights out for it too, because we didn't tell them, I try to make as much of it a surprise as I can, because I don't know, it's fun. So we didn't really tell them. We had them kind of base coat their signs, because if you ever use any of the neon paints, usually they're not super thick. They're kind of opaque. So I definitely recommend, and this is just on the crafter side of things, if you're ever going to play with neon paints, base coat it with a similar color underneath and then put your neon on top. We had them base coat their signs, and we told them, okay, we're just going to set them aside for right now. We let them dry. We took a snack break. We played some games. And then we came back to them, we got everything passed out, everything was ready to go, and we had 4 helpers, because there's 4 light switches to turn on our black lights. We had 4 helpers who were ready at the light switches, but we didn't even tell them what they were doing. We just told them they were turning a light on. And so they got all set up and into their places, and then, you know, we counted down 10, 9, 8, 7, the whole 9 yards, and then they flipped the switches, and all of a sudden everybody's plates are just glowing, and because we have the paint laid out for them already, and so there's all these glowing things. But something we didn't even think about initially is all of the clothes and stuff like that. So if you've ever done like the extreme bowling or anything like that, you wear like clothes that have white or neon-y colors, and they light up. So all of a sudden we've got, kids that are glowing, and I had white earrings on, so they hit the black light and we're glowing, and I don't know, it was just a lot of fun. And so that's a project that we will definitely offer some more options with, because there's just something fun about stuff glowing in the dark when you're painting. And so we did that one. Today we took them to the beach and we made our own kinetic sand, and initially some of the kids were like, absolutely not, I'm not touching that, because the kinetic sand is we use like a beach playground sand, cornstarch, and then some vegetable oil. And initially it looks messy and squishy, and some of the kids were like, nope, not touching that, absolutely not. But then they got into it, got their hands in there, got them a little dirty, and they had so much fun. And then we had some beach toys, like sandcastle molds and stuff like that, so the kids got to make sandcastles, and it was a lot of fun. It got absolutely crazy, and there's so much sand on the shop floor right now, it's not even funny, but we kind of let camp be a little crazy. This is a time where kids can, come, be a little loud, be a little wild, and try their hands at some different stuff. So this is what it's gonna look like if I were to leave it whitewashed. I know it's kind of tricky to see on the screen, but I've definitely got wood grain coming through there. I think I am gonna paint a full solid coat on top of it. I want a good solid white, so I'm gonna go back in now with my foam brush and go ahead and paint a solid white coat on top. I do feel like the sort of like staining method underneath it or whitewashing it helps the second coat lay down really nicely without it getting too clumpy. So do this part, and I think we might try to do something kind of fun and blendy when we get to the flowers, because I'm feeling spunky. But yeah, we had spring camp this week. Tomorrow's our wrap-up day, and for wrap-up day we love to do like an ice cream social for our snack. Wednesday we usually try to do somewhat healthy snacks. So like the first day we did, and we try to make them crafty and creative at the same time. The first day we took cocoa, I guess they're chocolate, rice cakes, and they're just dusted with a cocoa powder. We took those, we spread some peanut butter on them. We checked for allergies ahead of time, but we spread some peanut butter on them, and then gave them banana slices and a couple of chocolate chips to make them look like little teddy bear faces. And that one's fun. It's just a pure, you know, you get to play with your food, fun part of it. That's enjoyable, but those were pretty healthy. We laid out a kids snack trail mix bar situation where everybody got to pick what kind of stuff they wanted to put in there. And yes, we had some marshmallows and some chocolate chips mixed in. We also had peanuts and some popcorn options and that sort of stuff too. And yes, the kids like the marshmallows the best, but a little mix of everything is always great. But Wednesday we had a birthday from one of our campers, and so we kind of went all in on the birthday theme for that, and we had a kind of decorate your own cupcake bar go on, and we had all kinds of different sprinkles, and that's what we started with. Like I said, we love to do surprises with the kids, so we had all the sprinkles laid out. And I don't know, I feel like they kind of know when we start to play a game after we've done, you know, a craft, or at least started a craft. They'll start to see Jonathan, and he'll be over on the side working on these tables that we've got set up for snacks, and you know, they start doing this number, and oh, what's he pulling out? What is that? What does that look like? And all they're seeing is these sprinkles. So they're like, are we doing ice cream sundaes? And I was like, no, not quite. And so he's got all these sprinkles. So we have the kids come down and pick sprinkles. They put them in a little bowl to take back to their spot, and they're looking at us like, are we just eating sprinkles for snack today? Is that what we're having? Because, you know, none of them really seemed upset about that though. And we said, no, just hang on, just pick out the sprinkles you want. And we had all kinds of different colors and shapes and that sort of stuff to pick from. I probably looked like I had some sort of weird sugar addiction when I was leaving the store after buying them. But we had all that stuff laid out for them, and I'm saying happy birthday, and they're still looking at us like, okay, we've got these bowls of sprinkles, what are we doing here? And then we explained to them, you know, hang on just a second. So Jonathan brought out this huge tray of cupcakes, and we told them, you know, it's up to you. You decide how many sprinkles you want on your cupcake. If you wanted to, you know, make them look a certain way or whatever it might be. We had some kids lay out their sprinkles in like a rainbow pattern. I know Levi tried making like a person on his, so he made like a stick figure out of his long skinny sprinkles. Some of the kids like would pick up their sprinkles and sprinkle it on top. Some were taking their whole cupcake and like rolling the frosting in the sprinkles. So it was cool to see, you know, all their brains process how to, you know, decorate their cupcakes different ways. We showed them how to do a cupcake sandwich where you break off the bottom cake part and put it on top of the frosting. And some of them just thought that was the funniest thing too. Like, you can't have a cupcake sandwich. Yes, you can. I will say this much, if there are any comments in there, Facebook's not being nice and showing them to me. So if anybody has said anything, I'm sorry. It's been like this the last couple of times I've tried to go live. It just isn't showing me any comments, and I don't know how to fix it. For a while, we were using an extra like program to stream our videos into things, but Facebook's getting ready to kick those out. So we stopped doing that too, which is a bummer. So we gotta come up with some new ways to do it. But we'll get there. Alright, this one's almost all base coated. I will say, I feel white is my least favorite color to base coat, but it comes out so pretty when it's done. So we do it anyway. I know I can be picky for a while, and I'll go back and forth trying to even it all out. But the funny thing is I know we're all our own worst critic when it comes to our projects and things like that. But a lot of times the little like streaky parts that you'll see that you're not too sure if you're gonna like, once you layer your next set of pieces on it, so we've got, you know, lettering and flowers and stuff like that, you won't even really see them. But when you're staring at this, you know, big oval in front of you and you want it to be, you know, a nice bright color, it's intimidating. I get this part all filled in, and I'm really excited to go get this on my door because I have not had a door hanger up at my own house since, oh, you know what, I did have a Christmas one up. I did manage to get a Christmas one, but before that we had a wreath that my mom had ordered that was, you know, baby girl themed. It had all kinds of little stuff. It had like a baby's bottom coming out of the middle part, and then it had like a rattle and a bottle and all that sort of stuff hanging around it. We had that one up for a long time. Alrighty, so that's gonna be our base. I'm gonna put the lid on my paint real quick, and I'm gonna set my brush aside just in case I decide I wanna come back in and do some more. Alrighty, so for my lettering, at least for my big ring, I'm gonna do in a stain. I haven't decided if I'm gonna do my hello part with the stain or not, but I know for sure this big piece I'm gonna do in the stain. So I'm gonna take my stain cup, mix it up just a little bit. Now there's a couple different ways you can apply this. I am gonna try to be as tidy as I can, again I say that with paint all over my fingers, but I'm gonna use this brush actually to apply it. A baby wipe would work great too. You could use the sponges if you wanted to, but I'm gonna use the brush because then I can rinse that out when I'm done. And I'm just dipping my brush into the stain and brushing it right on. This is a water-based stain that we get from Home Depot, and I absolutely love it. If you've ever been in any of our workshops, you know that I have my favorite stains, and I will let you know which ones I don't like. But I like this one because it's water-based. It doesn't have that funky smell to it. It cleans up really, really well, so if you do get some on your hands, you're not scrubbing weird sticky stuff off for weeks. It cleans up really, really good with just soap and water. And it dries really fast too because it doesn't have the same qualities as an oil-based stain. So I really like it. I'm gonna brush mine on there. And I like that I can use something like a brush like this, and I know I can rinse it out and use my brush many times over because it's not gonna gunk it all up. This part filled in, and then I'll go back and do my spring letters in a second. It's been really weird not having the shop open this week because usually when we have camp, we kind of close everything and focus on our campers. And aside from that, like of course while they're here, we keep the front door locked so we don't have any, you know, people coming in when we've got all these little kiddos here. But after camp, there's still so much stuff to finish up. So like the first day, one of the things we painted, we used watercolor paints and we painted kites. Because what says spring, like a kite can go fly as long as, you know, the wind's being cooperative. But we did kites, but of course there's some finishing work. We got to put the strings on and make sure they're popped out the right way. So after camp, we still have all kinds of stuff. I don't think we've made it home before 5 o'clock at all this week, even though camp ends at noon, just because there's kind of some behind the scenes stuff that has to go on too. I had friends who were like, oh, it must be nice, you're only working, you know, 9 to noon all week. And I was like, yeah, it's not quite like that. There's, you know, getting prep stuff for the next day, but we have so much fun. Like, I will not lie, we are exhausted at the end of every day, and Levi, of course, you know, being the kid involved, doesn't get why mommy and daddy are tired at the end of the day. But it's so much fun, and I love getting feedback from the parents who let us know, you know, the kids are having fun. Or we had 2 girls that are buddies now, and the funny thing is they already went to the same school, and it's nice because, you know, it's only spring break, not summer, so they're still gonna, you know, next week they'll go back to school. They knew of each other, but they didn't really know each other. Well, they end up sitting together here, and now they're little best buddies. They even have best friend necklaces, which I loved those as a kid. So that's that part all stained on there. Set that in there and decide. Do I bring in a color with my letters, or do I just want to do stained hello? I would love to know what you guys think, but like I said, Facebook's being a turd and not wanting to tell me. I think we might paint our letters. I think I'm gonna paint them. So I'm gonna set this aside. I'm gonna rinse my brush real quick. That one in water too. And we'll paint our tulips, and then we'll decide on what color we want to do our letters. rinse, 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 rinse. There we go. Oh, that's the other thing that I forgot is in the kits too. So because I didn't actually pull one from my kits, I'll grab a string in a minute, but you can kind of see it tucked in here. There's jute as well to tie into your door hanger when it's all done and painted, but we'll have to come back. I'll have to steal a piece from here somewhere so that I can tie mine up when it's done. But I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna do my flowers next, and then we'll figure out what color we wanna do the letters. So for my flowers, like I said, I've got yellow, pink, and green, and you'd be shocked, this is a ton of paint for these. This paint goes a long way. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with the green on the bottom part, and then I'm gonna mix a little bit of yellow in, and I'm gonna use my brush. I'll try to explain it as I do it too, but I'm gonna use my brush long ways like this, kind of hard to see, but long ways like this to add kind of some yellow into it, so it kind of has, I don't know if you've ever seen tulips, they sort of have lines in their leaves, but we're gonna start with green. What you could do if you didn't want to get really particular with a brush is you could definitely use these sponges, dip them in here, and then pounce it on there, but I'm gonna do mine with a brush. I'm gonna get a little tiny bit of water on my brush just so it's flowing well, and we're gonna start with the green on the leaves, and then like I said, I'm gonna mix some yellow into it just to give it that, I don't know, more realistic look, I guess. I am by no means a fancy painter. I had one of the kids ask me if I was an artist. I said, I don't know if I consider myself an artist. I would call myself a crafter. And I figured a couple things out, and I'm really good at craft hacks. I feel like every single time we have a class, somebody's like, oh, I did this, how do I fix it? Or is there a way to do this? And usually I can figure something out. So I'm a good craft hacker. But I wouldn't call myself like an artist per se. But I know a couple little things. I think Levi's gonna end up being our little art dude, because he'll sit down and watch a drawing video and then go draw whatever it is. And at, you know, the age of 6, he can draw better than I can at 31. And Rainy apparently is gonna be our little dancing girl. I've always, I don't know, sang silly songs to my kiddos when they were little. Levi doesn't like it as much now, but once in a while he'll get into it. But I'll sing a little song that's just her name. And lately this has been her thing. As soon as I start, she'll start doing this number. And she's got the shoulders going, and she's, you know, her torso's wiggling back and forth. And, you know, we of course encourage it because it's adorable. But the other day, she had just gotten up. My mom's been watching her for me during kids camp, which has been great, but that means we've got to, you know, get out of the house pretty early. And, I mean, she was just barely awake and into her car seat, and just out of habit, I started, you know, singing my little song to her, and she did, just barely awake, barely anything. Her little torso's going back and forth, and she's dancing, and it's the cutest thing ever. And I know she won't always do that for me, so are we, what's the word, I don't want to say abusing the power, but any chance I can, I sing my little song to her, and she thinks it's great, and I love it so much. Alrighty. So I'm taking my green just up underneath the bud of my tulips. I'm gonna fill it in a little bit more down here. Alrighty, and something that I do if I'm gonna blend a color in, I really do like to have kind of wet paint where I'm at. So after I've painted the whole thing, I'm gonna do a really kind of quick coat on top of it, just so that I've got paint that's easy to blend into all through it. It doesn't have to be perfect, just enough to have paint that's not completely dried yet. And then I'm gonna open my yellow. I'm not gonna rinse my brush either. I'm just gonna go straight in with some of the green that's on there. I am gonna cheat though, and I'm just gonna steal some from the lid. And I'm gonna start kind of working that in. You can kind of see how difference it makes down there in that other part. I'm just gonna do a little bit here and there. But having that green on my brush helps it from getting too yellow and kind of mixing in with everything. The other thing you can do too, if it does start to dry too much, is put a little bit of water on your brush, and it'll help make everything a little more fluid. Come back down from my stem. And I'll even go over, like, on my first leaf, I had a couple of spots that it just got kind of dry, so it didn't really work out the way I wanted it to. So I went back over those, and you can really see kind of the difference. So this side has the yellow in it, this leaf right here does not yet. But it does, it just gives a little more dimension. And again, you don't have to do this. You can get as simple or as complex with it as you want. I just figured if I was gonna be here, we might as well play with some colors. This up here. Brush that in, and then I'm gonna get just a little more on my brush, and this is where I'm gonna make it kind of flat, and I'm gonna brush with it long ways instead of flat, I guess. And I'm just gonna kind of work my way up the thing, and it's gonna create some little streaks in it, but that's exactly what I want it to do. And I'll take a really good picture of this too. I know that the camera doesn't always show exactly what it looks like when all is said and done, but I'll get good pictures of all this so you guys can see it too. My stem. I'm gonna do some for my leaf. So you can kind of see some of that where there's some kind of streaks going on in there, which are really similar to the way that you know, one would really look like. Alrighty, so now I'm gonna rinse my brush. I'll give it just a sec, and then we will do the heads of our flowers. Let's see, I did pink closest last time, so maybe I'll do more yellow on it. I remember when I was in high school, speaking of fair and FFA and all that sort of stuff, I was not allowed to have an animal. We didn't have the room for one, and we just didn't have the place for it really. So I instead focused on other projects for fair. So I'm gonna take my yellow, I'm gonna base coat my big flower first, and then we'll see what happens. I didn't do animals though. I focused on plants, and I built some things, different kinds of projects for fair. And I remember my grandma was really into gardening. She had a beautiful garden in her backyard. She lived in Missouri. So there was a lot of things she could grow that here in the desert it's just not gonna grow very well. But I remember one year she was super excited to tell me that she was sending one of her Holland tulip bulb flower catalogs, having one sent to me to go through it and pick out different flowers that I could grow. And, you know, of course she recommended, you know, look to see what kind of stuff can work in your area, because of course what I grow, some of it you won't be able to. And I don't know, it's just a really fun experience getting to do that with her. And of course growing the flowers is really pretty. I got a couple of them that came out really pretty, and then I did okay with them, but I'm gonna be completely honest, I am not a green thumb, but I tried really hard. My first attempt at growing a greenhouse, so I just did a rough coat on there. I'm gonna do pink on the other one. My first attempt at building a greenhouse to grow some of my plants in, because I was doing like different vegetable plants, I sealed it really well and didn't think about ventilation, and then I went off to FFA camp, and I remember my mom leaving me a voicemail to tell me that pretty much everything had wilted and died, and she was really sorry. Oh, it was not great, but it's okay. I didn't think anything about ventilation. I just thought it needed to be sealed up, and we made my whole thing out of PVC pipe and dang it, what is it called? Plastic painter's drop cloth to make my first greenhouse. And of course we made shelves and stuff for inside of it. So in theory, it was really a cool project. I just didn't know about ventilation and all that sort of stuff that they were gonna need. So right now I have a yellow and a pink one, and I could totally leave them just like that, and I think they'd be pretty. But like I said, we're being a little extra today, so I'm gonna get a little bit of yellow on my brush because my pink one I just painted. I'm gonna get some yellow on my brush and add some yellow to my pink, and we're just gonna play with this and see what happens. So I'm using it again kind of like at an angle like I was doing at the end of my leaves, and I'm trying to brush kind of upward. And they're blending together really pretty. It's giving me kind of like a, I don't know. I'm looking for a word here and it's not coming to me. kind of like an orange. Bring that up to the top though. And of course I'm over blending this, but that's okay. So I've got kind of an orangey color on there. Oh yeah, I can see comments. Tara Lynn is so much fun. She's the cutest little thing ever. And we love having her. She cracks me up with some of the stuff she tells me about. Told me all about the fair and getting to see the crashing cars. I am like I said, as much as we get really tired during camp just because it's so crazy, it's so much fun, and next week will feel super empty because I don't have 16 little people asking me, what are we playing next? What kind of craft are we gonna do next? What's our next game gonna be? And so that'll be a super bummer. It'll be okay. But yes, tomorrow the kiddos get to have an ice cream social, and it's gonna be fun. All right, so I'm gonna go back in on my yellow now and give it another kind of coat of yellow on top, and then I'm gonna use just a little bit of pink on it because I don't want it to be exactly the same as the one next to it. I want it to be a little different. And then we glue, oh, we still gotta pick colors for our letters. That's what it was. Just a little tiny bit of pink. I think with my pink, I'm gonna keep it mostly to the outside of my flower and let it kind of just naturally taper off. There we go. Just enough to make it look a little different. So we've got our yellow and our pink flowers that are gonna go on here, and I'm just gonna place this in place and see. So with this, I'm really thinking we might go, oops, push this kind of in place with some of this pinky orange color and do my hello in that. I think that's what we're gonna do. So let me get these guys out. So we need to start with the pink, and then we'll put the yellow on top. So something I'll tell you, if you're gonna use the brush, I usually like to do my lettering with sponges, but since I'm gonna kind of mix colors together, I'm gonna go ahead and use the brush. When you're brushing, what I recommend is to work towards the outside. So on my E, there's gonna be this top and this bottom, they're gonna be the outside. So I'll kind of start in the middle and work my way up. And then to get the bottom part, I'm gonna brush this direction. I don't know if that's harder or easy to see on the screen. But what I'm trying to do is brush in a way that it's not giving me a ton of excess paint on my sides, and I'm trying to focus primarily on getting paint on the face of it. Now, if you are a trooper and really want to, you can always paint the entire sides of your lettering. I have people who do that during workshops, and I will tell you 9 times out of 10, they immediately regret their decision. This one wouldn't be too bad because there's only a couple of letters, but usually it's when there's a lot of lettering and they've now got to paint all the sides and angles that they're like, oh man, what was I thinking? So I try really hard just to paint the face of my projects. And that's why usually the sponge comes in handy, because you're just dabbing along the face of it and it's not coming down the sides as much. Or if it is, it's just a really small amount at least. So I'll do 2 letters, then I'll grab some yellow and go back in. I'll go back to the pink. Get this part all nice and filled in. All right, so we'll do a little bit of yellow on my E to blend it in. I really like this color that it ends up making though, with the yellow and the pink together. So I'll set that one aside. I'll put a little bit of yellow on my O. Now, of course, if you didn't want to go like this, you could easily take some of your pink and your yellow and just mix it on its own, so that you don't have to do 2 bypasses on this, but I like the way it comes out. A little bit more pink, and then after this we're ready to glue up. Now I usually during lives do not do our bonus project, but you would paint it pretty much the same way, and then there are instructions that go along with it too. Assembly on that one is really easy. It's pretty much just layering the pieces on top of each other. And so it's an easy paint. but I think, like I said, it's the perfect little mini size to go, you know, in a shelf, in an office, or even like a kitchen window, just because it's just a little mini guy. Or if you have small hands that like to paint with you too, there's an excuse to let them paint as well. All right, let's get our yellow mixed back in here. This is what I'm really gonna miss, that extra app that we used to do some of our live tutorials with, is it had the capability to have an overhead camera and a side view camera. Get this part filled in. Jonathan was trying to call me, so if it cut me out, I apologize. Not side view camera, overhead view, goodness, and a front view. Almost done with these. And we'll look them over and see if anything needs extra blending. That needs a little bit right there. Alrighty, that's gonna be my letters, and now we're gonna go on to gluing everybody together. So let me close this part. All right, now we're gonna break out the sponges. I am completely gonna give Jonathan credit on his glue method because it does, especially with small lettering, help so much. So we're gonna scoot all this out of the way and bring our main project back over here. So your glue cup, this is Type Bond wood glue. We swear by it, it's my favorite. It washes off very well. At the end, we've even let the kids use it today, so it's a good one. I'm gonna start with my ring piece. I'm gonna open my glue. I'm gonna take one of my sponges and I'm gonna dip it in my glue. I usually like to use mine going this way. I'm gonna dip it in my glue. I'm gonna swipe off some of the excess because I don't want it to have too much glue. And then I'm gonna start dabbing it on. This is the same way that you would do paint if you were gonna use the sponges to paint. But like I said, I ended up using my brush today. But you'll dab the glue on there. You don't need a whole ton of it. This stuff does hold pretty well. I'm just gonna get my glue all along the back side of my project. Now, I've got fans going overhead. I will say the wood glue is very forgiving. It doesn't dry so fast that you can't move things around. But if you do have a fan on over you, because I know it's that time of year, you might turn it off just during your glue part, only because it might dry your glue out too fast and not make it very easy to stick down. Get the rest of this and then I'll go across my spring. Something else I will mention to you too, do not stress too much if when you put your project down some glue comes out, because this stuff dries clear. It does take about 30 minutes for its color to completely go away. Sometimes it's a little faster, just depends on how thick it is, but it does dry clear. So don't stress about that part. Alrighty, so I've got glue on this piece. We're gonna put it in place. Lay this guy down. And if you kind of follow the outline that's on your base piece, you can figure out roughly where it's supposed to sit, because it's gonna help line up all your pieces. So we set them up to where when you have them lined up properly, you should not see any of that outline, because it's set to where the outline is just a little bit smaller than the actual pieces that are going in there. I'm gonna apply pressure everywhere, and then I'm gonna set my flowers in place. Now, where did I put my sponge? Right there. Put my flowers in there, and then we just have our hello left to do. This project, even though it's kind of a bigger project, because it's a whole door hanger, it really paints up pretty quick. Which means you get to put it on your door even faster. If you are, I probably should have started with this. If you are someone who's joining in going, where do I get this project and this kit and the whole 9 yards, we are actually going to be opening our club subscription. Our DIY subscription box will open for new members on April 30th. And that'll be the first time that we've really truly reopened our subscription club. So April 30th, you'll have the opportunity to join us. every other month. We do every other month because every month is a lot to commit to, and I completely understand that. But every other month you'll get a new project, and usually a mini project too, sent right to you, as well as the tools and materials you need to put it together. You of course are welcome to use other brushes or other embellishments you want to use. Like I know I have some people who like to use their own paints, and you're welcome to do that too. But you get those sent right to you. And then at some point during the month, I go live like this and hang out with you guys and show you how I finish it. But of course, you will also have instructions. You can finish it any way you like. And it's just a little box of creativity that shows up on your porch every other month. Now, if every other month is not enough crafting for you as a subscription box member, you also get a special discount code that gets you a discount on any other DIY kits or classes we offer. The only ones it doesn't work on is guest teachers. But if it's a class we are offering, you get a special discount on it. And every other month that code changes, so you'll get a little note with your box that'll say, here's the new code to use, and you can use it on kits, on classes. If you come into the store and go shopping, I usually know who my subscription box ladies are. But if it should be, Jonathan checking out, just mention it and he'll know what to do to put a discount in if you come in to buy kits too. So you get to save money that way. And I've got some other fun stuff planned for our subscription box people too. We've had requests for a subscription box paint night where you guys could come in and paint your kits all together if you wanted to, for my local ladies. And I'm working on getting that set up. And that should start with our May box, where you guys can come in and hang out and paint too. But like I said, I know a lot of, we always tell everybody, excuse me, we always tell everybody with the subscription box, you can craft on your time in the comfort of your own home. You know you're going to get a new fun project every other month. And that's the other, so I will say that's the other reason that sometimes, I shouldn't say sometimes, every single time, every box we've had, we include kind of like a bonus project. And you can either sit down and paint all of it at the same time, or if you need something to tide you over in the every other month, you can always pull that project out during the opposite month and paint it then too. This one in here, and then one more. And I'll give it just a second for all my glue to set and dry. Here we go. This one in place. Squash it down. All right, we're gonna give that just a second to dry, but I'm gonna put my lid back on my glue so it doesn't dry out. And like I said, this glue is forgiving. It'll let you wiggle stuff around a little bit if you need to, but for the most part, it holds really fast too. So I'll show you what this one looks like. So now I've got my Hello Spring with the white background. I got my Hello Spring with the stained background, and I don't know which one I like better. So I'll have to post a picture of them, and you guys will have to let me know which one you like. And if you painted your subscription box, I want to see your finished piece as well. But for tonight, I'm gonna hop off of here. I gotta go get the rest of stuff prepped for our summer campers final day tomorrow, our spring break campers final day tomorrow. And yeah, but thank you guys for hanging out with me. Like I said, our subscription box will open for new members on April 30th, and then that'll close. I believe it's May 3rd or 4th. I'll have to double check, but we'll have posts and links and all the things. If you want to sign up for our waitlist, there is a link in the description of this video, but we will be talking to you guys soon. Bye guys.